Hi, good morning everyone. It's Brenda Quintana here for another Casing Tuesday Facebook Live video. Today is Casing Tuesday number 100, so that's really cool. Catalina, my downline, started Casing Tuesday probably about 2 years ago because there was like 50 some odd weeks in a year. So 2 years ago, she started casing cards out of the catalog, and she did this regularly on her blog. And last year, I started in at number 47. Last year, I jumped in and I started doing it with her. And that's when we decided that we would start a Facebook group that was dedicated just to sharing our Casing Tuesday cards. So she's been doing it for 2 years. I think that's really amazing. So if you get a chance, today I'll post a link in my Facebook Live video to Catalina's blog, and you can go over and check out her blog. But I think that's amazing that she was that consistent, and she's helped me keep consistent because I wanted to be able to join her and not let her down. Hello, Cindy, Lee, and Janine. I'm glad you're here. We're celebrating 100 casing cards. I can't say that I did all of them, so but I've seen Catalina as she's done all of hers. So it's kind of been fun, and I'm so glad now that we're able to share this experience with everyone, because it's fun to see. I love each week to see what everyone does with these cards. So it's a cool thing, you know. It started with her and moved to me, and now we're sharing it with lots of people. So that's really cool. So July is going to be a busy month for me. So I think I'm going to be doing one more Facebook Live in June. And I think we only have one more Tuesday in June. And then I'm going to take 3 weeks off. So I will be back next week, and I will, next week I'll talk about what's happening in July, that I can't do the Facebook Lives, just not possible for me to do them. So, but then I'll be back at the end of July, and I will continue on. I love doing these Facebook Lives. I love seeing you guys here. Good morning, Catherine. So I will continue to do them. It's just sometimes it's just hard, you know, if you're going to be away, if there's a holiday, it's just not a great time to do them. So I will skip a few weeks, but I will be back at the end of July. But I will be here next week too. So number 100, I got to pick this card. And so let me flip my camera around, and I will show you the card that we cased for this week. And I'll show you what I did. Let me flip. And let me just take a moment to adjust my camera. It's a little bit, okay, that's pretty good. That's probably about as good as it's going to get. So let me hold this card up to the catalog. This is the card right here, number 100. And I was attracted to this card because it looked easy. It looked easy because it's got designer series paper on it, and that's what does all the work for this card. And I thought, you know, this is just a great card to do quickly, but it looks like you did a lot of work on it. So that's why I chose this one. And you know, you could fancy it up, you can keep it plain. I challenged myself to only use one pack of designer series paper. So that's one way to view this challenge. Or you could decide to use all different packs, use up your scraps of designer series paper. You know, we've all got little scraps of designer series paper kicking around. So that's a good way to use up those scraps. You can use them from different packs. You can mix and match. But I thought since I was making this card from scratch, I would challenge myself and make it with one pack of paper. And I'll show you the pack I used in a moment. So the card that I made is this one. And I use the Petal Garden Designer Series paper, and this paper just coordinates really beautifully, and it has these beautiful flower images. So, you know, I didn't have to add, this card actually has a little flower punched out and cut out up at the top here. I didn't have to do that because I chose paper that had flowers in it. So that kind of made it even easier. Did I cheat this week? I don't know. But anyway, sometimes with pretty designer series paper, you can do a little cheating. So this is the pack. It's Petal Garden. Oh, and I have all my scraps stuck out to the back. Let me just drop those for a second. Let me just show you this paper. It's 6x6 paper. And it has so many pretty patterns. And they coordinate really well together. You get 4 of each pattern, and it's double-sided, so that's a really nice thing. So when I just went through and I just chose papers that would look nicely on the front of the card. So why don't we start off, and let's start off. I'm going to cut some ovals, and the thing is, this card is pretty easy, so I thought for this Facebook Live I would challenge myself to make a slightly different card using the same designer series paper pack. Good morning, Rita, and good morning, Janny. And so I'm going to move these aside, grab my big shot. So the layering ovals framelets, I love these because they have both smooth and scalloped ovals. And I'm going to use the 3rd largest smooth oval. Let me pop that on here. This is a piece of thick whisper white. And I thought I'd add an extra layer since I have the scallops for this one. And I'm going to use the 2nd largest scallop oval. And since I'm going to do my card with more of a rich raspberry flare, I'm going to choose rich raspberry as my color. So you just need to crank this through. Sorry for the shaking a little bit. Okay. And good morning, Barbara. And there you go. We've got these 2 ovals, and they can layer up. Let me put this aside for a moment. Okay. So we're going to do our stamping. The papers that I chose were kind of rich raspberry-ish. So I'm going to use rich raspberry ink. Let me open that up. And I'm using this greeting from the window shopping stamp set. That's the one that goes with that little hexagon box. And I'm using happy birthday. So let me grab this, and I'm just going to ink up my happy birthday in rich raspberry. And I'm going to make sure that my birthday is fairly close to the bottom. You can kind of see it right here. Rather than kind of making it centered, it looks a little better when it's closer to the bottom. So let me just add that. And then I can layer this onto, let me grab my trusty Tombow. Let's see if it flows. Yes. If you ever have trouble getting your Tombow to flow, let me just glue this on here. Make sure it's centered. Okay. If you have trouble getting your Tombow to flow, use the little paper clip trick. You probably have paper clips lying around your house. Grab one of them and straighten them, and then you just shove it down the hole, and then that unclogs this little guy. When I'm doing a lot of gluing, I keep my bottle on its side, and that helps the glue from coming all the way back down, and it keeps it ready to glue things. So I've got my little greeting, and then I need a card base, and we're going to use a piece of thick whisper white for that. You just cut yourself a half sheet of cardstock. So the piece starts off measuring 8.5 by 5.5, and then you score it at the 4 1/4 inch mark. Good morning, Cheryl. And so then you fold it along the score line, and I took my bone folder. I always like to use my bone folder because it helps really make that crease nice and crisp, and it helps the card to lay flat. So then the trick with this card is the scraps of designer series paper. And in the sample, they've kind of got it overlapping and kind of not smooth on the edge. I'll just show you real quick. So on theirs, they've kind of got, you see how it's not quite lined up? They've kind of been a little bit haphazard, which I have trouble doing things that aren't straight all the time and lined up. So my card ended up being all lined up. I'll show you my lined up version, but you could actually take the same scraps and just skew them just a little bit, and you could get this look if you want this little bit of skewed look. So I just needed, you need 4 pieces of designer series paper, and this is how I did it. Not in the right order. Let me put them in the order that I'm going to put them in on the card. So these ones on the right measure 3.5 inches by 2.25 inches. The ones on the left measure 2.5 by 2.25 inches. So basically I took my 6 by 6 piece and I cut it at the 2.25 inch mark, and then I cut it at the 2.5 inch mark, and that gave me a 2.5 inch piece and a 3.5 inch piece. So you could do the flip side of the designer series paper. In my case, for this green one, I took another piece because I actually wanted a piece of green rather than another piece of this purpley background, because I think it makes it look a little bit better. But so you have 4 pieces of designer series paper. 2 of them measure, like you've got couples, and both of them measure the same. So it's less complicated than it looks. So when I'm gluing these, I'll take my first piece and I'll put Tombow on it. I'm going to start in the bottom right hand corner, and I want to leave myself about 1/8 of an inch on the bottom and on the side. Okay, so you can see you just kind of leave yourself the same distance. Janine says she's OCD's need to unite, and that's true. I'm a little bit, I don't think I'm not technically OCD. Maybe if you ask my family, they would say I am, but I do like things a little straight. Good morning, Doris. So we've got number 1 piece down. Then I'm going to take my next piece, this beautiful rose, add some glue to it, and I'm going to line this up with my top corner. So notice I'm actually, you see, I'm going to overlap those 2 pieces, right? So I'm actually making them different sizes by overlapping them. So if you wanted to now, you could like not line them up if you want to be a rebel. I'll let you be a rebel if you want to. So you can see how now this piece is smaller than this piece. And then I'm going to take this one, and I'm actually going to put this one on its side. Okay, so not like this. I'll put it on the skinny side. It's going to go on the top. And that kind of makes everything have like a different size. And then I'm going to maintain my 1/8 inch border. And I've been doing this so long, I just know what 1/8 of an inch looks like. It's sad that I know that. And then this last piece, you're just going to fit on like that. So it's a pretty easy card. So I'll just put that on like that. So a little note about designer series paper before I put this happy birthday on. I've got 2 patterns that are busy patterns and 2 patterns that are tone on tone, kind of neutral patterns. That helps a little bit when you're planning. So if you have too many heavily patterned pieces, it could look a little busy. You can try it though. I mean, I'm not totally against it, but when I was planning these, it looked a little bit more, I don't know, looked a little bit more elegant when I didn't have so many patterns. So I've got these 2 busier patterns broken up with swatches of tone on tone patterns. And I chose a different color for each of the tone on tone patterns just so it wouldn't look, again, it would break up the pieces a little bit more. So that's that's the formula I used when I created this card. So I'm going to stick this on here like that. You could also do it like my original card with just the plain oval, but I thought I'd be a little bit different with this one, just add a little bit to it. And then you can just add, Susan's here too. Good morning. Oh, well, I have written instructions on my blog. I have all the measurements on my blog. I don't have, really, this card is so simple that I don't think the instructions really need to be written out. But I've written down that I use the, the third largest oval. I've got the measurements written down. If you just think about this card really easily right now about how to put it together, you take your two largest pieces, you start in the bottom right corner, you glue that one, you glue the next one, you glue the next one, and you glue the next one. So you're going counterclockwise around the circle, and you just keep overlapping. And so it makes it really easy. It's not a hard card. So this video will be there afterwards if you want to look back and see how I did it. But at least the measurements will be there for you, so it won't be, you won't have to look those up on the video. Because I think that's really the hard part about this card, is just how big are those layers? How do I do that? So the last thing we're going to do, I've already tied a double bow of the Whisper White Baker's Twine. And the easiest way to attach that is with a mini glue dot. So I just stick my knot on top of the mini glue dot, and my mini glue dot might look a little bit bigger than the actual knot of the bow, but that's okay. You pick it up, and then the mini glue dot kind of just scrunches down onto the knot, and when you stick it down, it will not be sticking out. So I'm just going to stick that right to the right of my happy birthday, like that, and that's the card. It's that easy. I mean, that was hardly any work at all. And this paper is so gorgeous that you could make a lot of different types of cards with this paper. And there's lots of other papers too that this would work well with, but just as an example, this 6x6 pack is fairly inexpensive in terms of paper. It's a nice handy size, so it's a good size to get if you're wanting to create cards. And then this window shopping stamp set has this nice happy birthday greeting on there, or just use a happy birthday greeting or a greeting that's about that size that will fit in an oval. You might already have something. This happy birthday right here, the stylized birthday, that's what they used, and that works really great in the center too. So if you just want one stamp, this one's a great one, the stylized birthday stamp. So yeah, there it is. Thank you, Doris. I'm glad you like the card. Let me flip around. Flip. Oh, do you see my t-shirt? Okay, it says, happiness is Hershey's Kisses. I got that at the Hershey's store in Hershey, Pennsylvania. I got to go, when we moved up to Boston, we drove up close to Hershey, Pennsylvania, and my husband's like, do you want to go see the mothership? Because I do so many designs with Hershey's Kisses, and I said yes. So we stopped off and we went to like the theme park. They have a theme park there. We didn't actually go in and ride any rides. We got there in the late afternoon, and we were so tired. We driving up from Tennessee is like it was a big ride, a big drive. Like we did it over a few days, but I think the actual drive time is over 20 hours. So we were just driving up. So I just kind of really just wanted to see the outside of the theme park, and we went to the gift shop. They have this big Hershey's store with all this Hershey's paraphernalia, and I got this shirt, and I got a little keychain with a Hershey's Kiss on it, and I love my little keychain. So it was just fun to be around all the Hershey's Kisses because I do so many designs with them. Thank you, Catherine. I'm glad you liked the card. So yeah, so we stopped there, and Pennsylvania is not all too far away. So if I ever want to go back there, I can go back there and see. When we were in New York, they also have a big Hershey store there too. So that's where I got my Hershey's pillow. It's just fun, you know. Chocolate is a fun indulgence. I do love chocolate. I can't eat it all the time, but try to, you know, use it as a treat. And but I love it. So it's a good thing I like to walk. So otherwise I might be shaped like a Hershey's Kiss after a while with all the kisses I keep around. I keep a big bag of Hershey's Kisses in my room now, because when inspiration strikes, I want to be, those are my fillers, they're my Legos of building and everything. But anyway, I am just blah blah blahing as I usually do. Just a couple of reminders. It's Casing Tuesday. If you're new to casing, you want to join us, I will put the link to my Facebook, or not my Facebook group, our Facebook group in the description of this video, and you can click on there and you can ask to join, and either Carolina or I will approve you, and then you can share your designs, or you can see, just lurk in the background and see what other people are doing with these cards, and maybe get some ideas for cards that you would like to make. What are the other things? Oh, I'm going to post the supply list, a link to my blog, which has my supply list. So if there's anything you want to order that you saw that you're interested in, you can purchase it right off my blog. And the measurements are on my blog as well. And I will post this video to YouTube afterwards too. It usually takes me a few hours to do that because I've got some other things I need to do this morning. My son is in his final exams today. He has just one more day tomorrow, but he finished his final exam this morning, and I said, oh, I'll pick you up after final exams, and then I looked at the time and I was like, well, I usually do a Facebook Live right then. So he said, oh, no worries, Mom, I'll walk back. It's like a long walk though. So I am going to pop off here. I'm going to go grab him, and then I will come back and add all those descriptions and stuff like that to my videos, so that you guys, if you want to check anything out, they will be there for you. Thank you so much for joining me. I so appreciate you guys coming on Tuesday and watching me do this live. It's a little out of my comfort zone because, you know, I can't edit this. I don't edit it, and I just, you know, it's off the fly. I do a little prepping, but it's not, I don't edit out my ums or anything stupid I say, or, you know, my extra blah blah blahing. So I really appreciate that you come here, and I just love seeing your Casing Tuesday cards. So please join our group and please post some cards. I want to see what you do with this one. I think this is a fun one, and I think it's a nice easy one for the summer. You know, just look for a nice size greeting, go through your designer series paper stash and find a nice card. Oh, and Catherine says she loves the Casing Tuesday. Oh, and Jennifer says no editing needed. You're a doll. Well, thank you. Well, if you see some of my other videos, you'll know that if it's something really complicated, I don't want to be going on and on forever about things. I want you to have a nice, concise video. So this is kind of more a casual one. So I put right on my video on YouTube that it's a live video, so that if you don't want to listen to all this chatter, you don't have to. But you know, I like being able to talk a little bit about myself, and I like being able to interact with you a little bit on the Facebook live setting. So that's really nice. And I go back afterwards and I read all the comments in case I missed some. And thank you, Janine. She says I do a wonderful job. I really, really appreciate it. So guys, I better go pick up my son now, and I hope you all have a great week, and I hope the sun is shining wherever you are. So see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.